Alright, I need to talk about something that's been living rent-free in my head. And look, before I say a single word, I want to be clear. This is not a Jeep hate segment. I'm going to talk about why I hate Jeeps, but I also love Jeeps. I loved my Jeep. Past tense, we'll get there. Here's the deal. My first car, the first car I ever bought with my own actual money, was a Jeep Wrangler. It was white, it was an SE, and it had the 2.5-liter four-cylinder, the small engine. It didn't have air conditioning, it had steel wheels, it was a 5-speed manual, and it was not fast. It wasn't fancy. I didn't care, and I loved that car. I was obsessed with that car. I drove it across country. I took it to college. I took it everywhere 2 axles and some wishful thinking could carry me. And you know what made it even better than just the car? The culture, the Jeep wave. You'd be driving down the road, some other dude in a Wrangler coming in the other direction, fingers off the wheel, a little nod, and it meant something. It meant, I see you, we made the same slightly irrational, totally awesome decision, and we're in the same club. I'd run into a Jeep guy in the parking lot of a bagel shop, and we ended up talking for 20 minutes. That was real. That was organic. Nobody planned it. And the culture back then said something specific about who you were. It said, you've got limited resources. You like the outdoors, you want a convertible, but you also want to go camping. You want to have a blast without spending a fortune, and you're secure enough in yourself that you don't need to pretend otherwise. No pretense, no performance, straight up authenticity. That was totally fetch, by the way, genuinely fetch. And the off-road guys, beautiful. Some dude every year would come back with one new thing he'd saved up for. Better tires, a small lift, some upgrade he'd wrenched on himself over the winter. That was earned. That meant something. But now I see Jeep Wranglers in the Starbucks parking lot on a Saturday morning. Just sitting there, looking pristine, angry little eyebrows bolted over the headlights, $40,000, $50,000 base price, plus another 20 or 30 grand in accessories. Lift kits, custom shocks, decals, light bars for roads that have street lights, and these things look like they have never, not once, touched a surface that wasn't freshly paved. These are garage queens with spray-on personality. And listen, I'm not saying that you can't do whatever you want with your own car. It's your money. Knock yourself out. But let's just be honest about what this is now, because it's not the culture that I fell in love with. It used to say, I'm a normal guy who loves adventure. Now it says, I spent 70 grand to look like I love adventure and I need everyone in this parking lot to know it. It's like, you remember grunge back in the day? Grunge was us shopping at thrift stores because that's what we could afford. Flannel shirts, worn out jeans, not because it was a look, but because it was just Tuesday. And then 5 years later, some dude with an iPhone and a MacBook is paying $200 for pre-distressed vintage flannels at Urban Outfitters so he can look authentically broke. That's not grunge. That's a costume. That's exactly what happened to the Jeep Wrangler culture. And the little rubber ducks, the duck Jeep thing, it's got a cute origin story, I'll give you that. But the moment I see a corporate display at a dealership with a bucket of free rubber ducks, a self-serve duck station, that trend is on life support and the plug is being pulled. You know it's over when corporations embrace it. Same as flash mobs, same as dabbing, same as anything your aunt posts about on Facebook thinking she's finally caught up. It's dead. It was fun, but it's dead. The brand went from scrappy and real to a $70,000 lifestyle accessory for people who want to project a certain identity without having to do any of the things that actually create that identity. So I'm going to toss it out to you. If you drive a Wrangler today, are you actually taking it off-road? Or is it mostly highways and parking lots for you? I want to know. I would say no judgment, but I'm going to judge you. But tell me anyway. Because if I were in that market today, and I've thought about this a lot, I think I'd be looking at a Bronco or a Tacoma, something that still has genuine outdoor DNA without carrying the baggage of a brand that kind of lost itself somewhere between the first lift kit and the third cup holder. The Wrangler almost invented this segment. It wrote the manual, and somehow it ended up being a cautionary tale about what happens when the thing that made you cool becomes the thing you're selling. The irony is brutal. The car that used to say, I don't care what you think, is now desperately trying to make you think something. And that, my friends, is the opposite of fetch. Peter Von Panda, out.